Hey everyone, this is me doing a little video to show you exactly how to do this as promised. I'm going to go slowly, carefully. I'm going to show you everything, but you're going to need to pause and replay some of this because I will keep going at a fairly good pace. So, we are asked to find a linear regression. If you're doing delta math, you want to be careful because this one sometimes has you find other types of regressions, and so you want to click new problem until you get a linear regression. So here's my x data and my y data. You can copy these values and paste them in on delta math, but my computer won't do it because I'm in teacher mode. It doesn't work in student mode. I can't show you that way. But you can use your calculator, and we'll be using calculators on the quiz and the test, so we're trying to practice that skill. You can also do this on Desmos, and it's very, very similar. All right, so if I get that data 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, I've tried to save a little bit of time, and here it is 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, but L2 is old data. So a common mistake is that students will think they want to delete that, and they hit the delete key, and they completely get rid of it. It goes L1, L2, and they get rid of L2, and it jumps from L1 to L3. So how do I get that back? I simply undo that by going to the delete key, and looking above the delete key is insert, and this works to fix almost anything. You just go second and you insert, and there's a space for it, and then I just go second and I go to 2. Because why? Because above the 2 is L2. You just hunt around till you find it. If you kind of just keep at it, you'll see back comes the data. How do I get rid of it? I don't delete it. I just hit clear and then enter. You have to hit enter. It will overwrite data, but if you've got numbers down here, you can't get rid of them. Okay, so what is that other data very quickly? It looks like it's 2, 6, 20, 26, 31. 2, 6, 20, 26, 31. 2, 6, 20, 26, and 31. Okay, if I were to type something extra like this, and I've got a 5 down there, I can just go there and hit that one delete button right there. If I want to insert something up here, I can type over it, and it'll just redo that. Okay, so I'll double check to make sure I've got it right. And I think I have. So now it says find a linear regression equation rounding all coefficients to the nearest hundredth. That's been a challenge. Sometimes people go to whole numbers or tenths, but delta math will tell you what you're supposed to do. So the nearest hundredth, we'll get there in a moment. Okay, so I go up here, and now I'm going to graph L1 and L2. I can do that by simply going to y equals and making sure that plot 1 is turned on for L1 and L2. I think that's more sensible, so I'm going to go up and I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to go over to plot 2 and turn that off. I'm just hitting enter when I get the cursor flashing over it. I don't want these extra equations. Never ever start new data with equations that already exist, because this is left over from an old problem. The calculator will often give you an error message, so I just clear that out. Okay, but now how do I know if plot 1 is graphing list 1 and list 2? I go to second and y equals to get to the land of stat plot. Second and y equals gets me here. I see that plot 1 is on, and it is doing L1 and L2. Okay, so that's handy. But if I were to hit enter, I'd go into the land of stat plot. I could turn it off again if I wanted. You'll see later we'll choose different types of graphs, but I don't need to here. I'm on a scatter plot icon. If it had been saying L3, I could have just gotten rid of it, and I could have done second and 1 for L1, and it comes back. All right, so I can go down here and I can change the color if I want, or I can change the thing I'm graphing. But once I've got that, I'm good to go zoom 9. Zoom 9 is stat mode. There's my data. Okay, I need a regression line, so write this down if you need help. You go to stat and then over one click to calculate, and it's option number 4. It's much easier just to hit the number 4. But now here I do have a problem. It's L3 and L4. So I will go second and 1 and hit enter, and then go down and second, whoops, go up, and second and 2 and hit enter. If I have an old calculator, you get something like this at the top only, and you need to tell it if it's not list 1 and list 2, you can just need to do like list 3, and then you do comma, which is above the 7, and then you can do second and 4 for list 4. All right, but most of you have the newer, fancier calculators. When I get to here, if I want to be fancy, I can have the calculator store it. I'll just show you that quickly, but you do not, repeat, you do not have to learn this. This is optional. If I hit vars, and then I go over one click, and basically just hit enter, 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 I've got it, okay? So I would, at this point, write this down. You're often going to need to write this down on a test or a quiz. My A value is 4.0206. My B value is negative 2.29896. And then my R value is 0.996. So if you're asked for that R value, go to 3 decimal places just to be sure. Sometimes you'll round it up to well, that would round up to 1, so I'm not going to round that up because that'll make me think that'll say that it's perfect, because 1.0 is perfect and it's not. So I'd go 3 decimal places on that. Okay, so then if I go back and I'm going to type this in, let's see if I can show this. Maybe I have to remember it. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller maybe, and I can see it. There we go. I think I should be able to see this. And okay, so copy the values. So the answer is write the linear regression equation. Okay, so it's going to be y equals, and then this is where I do have to go back and forth between my all right, so what is that again? Juggling my screens. It is 4.0206. 4.0206x, rounding all coefficients to the nearest 100th. Okay, that's easy. I was not following my own directions. I'm going to round it right there to the nearest 100th. That's easy. 0.0 would be to the tenths, and 0.02 is to the nearest 100th. I go back to my other one, and then that's negative 2.030. See, when I go to the nearest 100th, I round that 8 up, and that 29 becomes 30, negative 2.3. So I go minus 2.3. Okay, with any luck, that is correct. Let's see. And I get the green check mark, all right? So if I had not rounded, I would have not gotten that correct. All right, now the next one is similar but slightly different. This one we're going to make a prediction. Again, there's the data. I think I've already put this in, so we can go a little more quickly. It's the exact same thing, but this is going to be in L2 or L3 and L4. I'm going to make that bigger again. And so there it is. I've got that in L3 and L4. I do the exact same thing. This is where you can save time. I'm going to go up, and I know that plot 2 is already list 3 and list 4. I don't even need to show you that, but I am going to clear this out. Mistakes you don't want to do is just hit graph, because it's going to want to graph the last window I've had, and it's even graphing the last data I've had. Because why? Because you see plot 1 is still turned on, so I'm going to turn that off. Now I'm just going to go to, if everything is good, which if I have got my only plot 2 on, and it's list 3 and list 4, I just go zoom 9 and I'll get my new data. Okay, there's my new data. I do the same thing with LinReg. Pause and see if you can do this on your own. Okay, you're back. Hopefully you've done it on your own. I go to Stat, I go to Calc, I go to LinReg, option number 4, and then, oops, here it is. I got to correct that again. Second and 3, and then second and 4 gets me to list 3 and 4. And then I just hit enter, enter. Am I going to store this one? Yes, I am, because I'm going to actually want to graph this. So how do you do that again? We hit vars, and then we go one arrow to the right and basically just hit enter until we get to our regression equation. There it is. So this is automatically stored. I will write that down if I have to type it in. Let's see, do I have to type it in? Regression equation, yep. Does it tell me to the nearest $1,000? So this is in thousands of dollars. So the nearest 1,000 is a whole number. So I want this like if this, yeah, I want that to be a whole number, and using, let's see, find rounding all coefficients to the nearest hundredth. Okay, yeah, so write the linear regression rounding all coefficients to the nearest 100th, just like the last one. All right, I can do that. So I'm going to go back to my equation, and I'm going to have to probably minimize it again so I can see it. And this is where, if this is tedious, I'm sorry, but this is just the way it is sometimes in the real world. You got to stick with me. And when I go down here, what's my equation? My equation is, oh my goodness, it is 16, and when I round that 5 up, 16.89x. So y equals 16.89x. And then my next value is going to be plus, and I round that 2 down, so 134.95 plus 134 plus 134 point, oh my goodness, 85 or 95? Let's see, 0.95. 0.95. Too many things to remember. Okay, now I need to make a prediction though. Find the profit, the projected profit for 2010. Okay, if it's years since 2002, this is very important. I'm going to have my input, my x value is going to be, well, 10 is 8 years after 2. So I'm going to plug in 8. So now I go to my regression equation and I hit my graph. Whoops. Sorry about that. Lost it again. It's always disappearing. And I make this a little bit bigger. And I go to my graph. And there's my regression line. Now I need to go to 8. Well, I can't see that far, so I need to go to my window. And this is where you just ask yourself, if I need to see up to 8, why don't I go from 0 or so up to 10? That seems sensible. And I just need to allow my y to get bigger. I don't know, if I go a little bit bigger from 8 to 10, I'm going to maybe just go to 300 to be safe. And then I'm going to look at the graph. And it looks like I've zoomed out plenty. Then I can go trace. And then, like I said a million times, you're only stuck on the dots unless you go up arrow or down arrow. So I go down arrow in this case. And I can go out until I get to 8. And that will get me close. And this is the way I'm going to do it if it's looking for a target value. Suppose it says you must get to 300 in the y, right? Just to do that. If it was, say, what year is it when you get to 300? I would say, oh, it's going to be 9.8 years after 2002. But that's not what this one is asking. This one is asking about when it's the x value that we know, which is 8. So there I am getting pretty close to 8. But even better, if I just type the number 8, once I'm in trace mode, I type the number 8 and I hit enter. And I will get 270. Nice round answer there. So I'll go back and I type $270,000 because it's already in thousands of dollars. I do not need to type a comma with 3 zeros because this is in thousands of dollars. And they say thousands of dollars there. If they just said blank dollars, you'd need to add those extra zeros. But they don't, so I won't. Submit answer, and let's hope we get the green check mark. Okay, we're in the home stretch, everybody. We're going to look at one quick Khan Academy where we're applying that regression equation. Now, if you noticed in the last problems we did, when I did that linear regression, when I did that stat calculate, and I did the LinReg for, I'm just going to hit enter, 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 enter here, that R value is 0.96. That means that data is about 90%, 96% linear. It's like anyone looking at that will be like, yeah, that's following a line. That's like a 0.96. So here, when we look at this in Khan Academy, it looks like this one is going to be about 0.96 as well, or point something pretty big. Oh, look at that, 0.96, and it's negative. Wow, nail it. That was a coincidence. Negative means it's going down as you read from left to right. So B is the 0.96. I drag that up there. A looks like it's negative. It's basically going down. There's nothing up here in this corner. It's going down, but it's lousy. So that's going to be that one. Now, as you drag that one up, notice the other one moves. So I got to maybe start from A, B, and then C and D. C looks like it's positive and better than the other positive. So positive and a higher number is good, positive less high number. And then I'm going to check and I'm going to get sparkles. And that is going to end my video. Hopefully that helped. Good luck, everybody.